Hello, hockey fans. Day 3 of this year's Stanley Cup playoffs is in the books, and boy, was it nuts. I mean, nuts. 4 games on the schedule. Two game twos and 2 series finally started, leaving 1 series left that hasn't started yet. It will tomorrow. But for now, let's talk about these 4 games and what took place. Well, it only took 3 days. It only took 3 days, and it only took, 7 games, but we finally got our first taste of playoff overtime. But this one was kind of short. Washington and Montreal got started, and Washington was up 2-0. And of course, Washington's first goal was scored by, because of course it was. And so it was 2-0, but then the Canadiens struck back, and it was the usual two suspects. Cole Caulfield put him on the board, and then Nick Suzuki tied it. Those two have been the leaders for the Canadiens for the last ever since that crazy run to the final 4 years ago. They've been leading the team ever since then. So we finally got overtime after a couple close calls the last 2 days, and of course you know how playoff overtime goes. It's not 3-on-3. It's not 5 minutes, and there sure as hell is no shootout. It's 5-on-5, 20-minute periods. You play till somebody scores, and if nobody scores in overtime, they play another one. Beautiful, isn't it? We wouldn't get to drink much of this one in. Though it took barely over 2 minutes before he scored again. It's amazing. Ovi's done so much in his career. The one thing he hadn't done was score in playoff overtime. Now he has. Amazing, isn't it? He just keeps making history. It's just, ugh. It's just crazy. So Washington's one up, but we'll see how this series goes. The tamest of the 4 games, obviously. All I heard for the last month was, watch out for the Blues. I wouldn't want to play the Blues in the first round. They might pull off an upset. It really doesn't look like it, doesn't it? And remember, they're playing against playoff Hellebuck. And playoff Hellebuck kind of became a thing last year when, despite his great goalie numbers, he got completely dominated. And I mean, dominated in the playoffs last year, round 1. Even the 1 game he won. And it kind of looked like we were getting playoff Hellebuck again, because he was looking kind of shaky to start game 1. But ever since giving up those 3 goals in game 1, he's been the Hellebuck we've been seeing. Yeah. So 2-1. Hellebuck had 21 saves, and an easy 2-0 series lead for the Jets. So the series will shift to St. Louis, but the Blues need to win those next 2 to draw even. And it's going to be difficult. And now for the really insane half of this day 3. Oh, boy. You know, I honestly, I'm still mostly happy with the results of the first 2 games. When we won game 1, I said the worst that could happen is we go home and it's 1-1. That's the worst that could happen. See, but 1-1 is not really bad in a best of 7 series. But this should have been 2-0, and if the game was officiated down the middle, it would have been. But and this was another one that went to overtime, and this was the long overtime. And I kind of said to myself as an Avs fan, I'm not going to be afraid of long overtimes anymore. I'm just not. I mean, why would I? I mean, the Avs, when we won our first cup, it was triple overtime. But we played our asses off in that overtime. But puck luck and, again, more missed calls. Refs are sure allergic to calling anything on Dallas. They really are. But think about it this way. Avs fans. 2 road games, we scored 8 goals, only trailed for barely over a minute. And the only reason why it's 1-1, not 2-0, Dallas needed the refs to help them win. So, we got him. Our captain's coming back. I mean, he was off. He came off IR, and a lot of us suspected him tonight. We didn't get him tonight. I'm fine with that. Bring him in Wednesday for Game 3 at home. That's going to be a big, huge emotional game when Landeskog's back in uniform in that home crowd of Ball Arena and 1-1. That's going to be amazing. Kings? What the hell are you trying to pull? I mean, you seriously, you owe Philip, you owe Philippe Deneau, you owe Philippe Deneau a lot, a beer, a steak dinner, something. Because I was watching this game along with the Avs game, and I was having fun because the Avs game was close because Avs and Dallas usually is, but the Kings were dominated. They were up 4-0. I was just like, oh boy. And then, well, the Oilers ended the shot, but still, it was 4-1. Then it was 4-2. But then they made it 5-2. I went, okay, that's that. Then it was 5-3 with about half a period left. And I'm going, they have time. And then, but the time was dwindling. It was down to 2 minutes. That's still kind of enough. And then, all of a sudden, it was 5-4. I go, they better not blow this. Kings better not blow this. And all of a sudden, you know who for Edmonton ties the game. I'm going, what are you doing? What are you doing? It was 4-0. And now, at that time, we were already in overtime. The Avs were already in overtime. And now the Kings are going to head there and go, what are you doing? But Deneau, 41 seconds left, puts it in. There's a saving grace. First off, I'd like to thank this game for taking the nerves off the overtime. Because the overtime I was watching. Because the only reason why I wasn't like heart pounding nervous watching overtime, other than the fact that it was round 1, game 2, was because of what was going on in this Kings game. But Deneau pulled it out. Deneau saved the Kings. 6-5. They took game 1. But here's the thing. This is their 4th meeting. This is their 4th straight meeting. This is the 3rd time in those 4 meetings they've taken game 1. I know the Kings have the home ice, but they need to really capitalize this time on this opening game win. They need to really capitalize on it. The best way to do it, win game 2 and make it a dominant one. They need to really dominate the Oilers in game 2. Otherwise, if they either barely win or, God forbid, if the Oilers actually win game 2, that might give the Oilers some momentum. And the Kings cannot afford to have the Oilers all over them. They just can't. The narrative was the Kings had the home ice. They should beat them. You need to not make it hard, LA. You really do. And that's what took place in a crazy Monday in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And here's tomorrow's action. It starts early with Game 2 at 6 p.m. Eastern, which is 3 p.m. here. Game 2, Hurricanes, Devils. That's in the Metro, and Canes are up 1-0. And then at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific, it's Game 2 of the Battle of Ontario, with Toronto leading 1-0. And then finally, at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, finally the last remaining series starts. The defending champs against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Battle of Florida, starts up in Tampa, final. And then a really late start at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, prime time in the West Coast. Game 1 between the Golden Knights and the Wild. Vegas is up 1-0. Another nice and loaded night of Stanley Cup playoff hockey. We had some playoff overtime in this night. Will we get more tomorrow? We'll see. But that is my recap. If you like this video, click the like button. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe if you want more. If you're on TikTok and Instagram, feel free to hit that follow button. And I'll be back this time tomorrow night to recap all of this madness. So stay tuned.